Morning all, it's a beautiful spring morning here in Ireland, and the sound of spring is in the air. Can you hear that? Yes, of course, it's the unmistakable sound of the Royal Enfield Continental GT650. Just love this bike. I love the sound of it as well. So if you want to come along for a spin and shoot the breeze, then join me after the sting. So just passing through my local town, Ballyborough in County Cavan, Ireland. I just realised actually last week, I was thinking, you know, I've been at this lark for nearly 2 years now, the motor vlogging, and somebody said recently in one of my comments on a video that yeah, Dave, we love following your videos, but we don't really know an awful lot about you. Show us where you live, show us who you are, show us what you do. So so yeah, with that in mind, this is my local town, folks. Like I say, Ballyborough. I love a Saturday morning. You never see the town as busy as this, really, during the week. But this is a town full of characters. Great. I'll put it in first gear and I'll be able to move through the town. Great fun, great crack. And just a great atmosphere, and you can see this reminds me, look at the old hardware store there as well. This reminds me of almost like a Sunday dinner, you know, when the family comes together traditionally on a Sunday. A Saturday morning in rural towns like this in Ireland is very much the same sort of ambience. People literally come out for the crack in the street, to meet each other, to bump into each other, and to shoot the breeze. And I really enjoy this place. And so there you go. That's the the first little information point about where I live anyway. So now, down to a bit of bike chat. I feel a bit guilty with this motorbike because, as I've said many a time, it's very much a look-at bike, and I'm as happy looking at it because, as most of you know, it lives inside my house, this one, at the bottom of the staircase in the hall. And I'm as happy keeping it there as I am riding it, because it makes me smile every morning when I come downstairs. So it sort of earns its keep, if you like, but I do feel guilty sometimes because I just don't ride it enough. In fact, I've owned it for over a year, and I'm looking at the clock there, and I still only have 729 miles on it. In fact, how long have I owned it? And it'll be coming up a year and a half. So I've hardly ridden it at all. I don't know if you've been watching the series I made about the motorway sculptures here in Ireland. I used this bike for that series, just because it seemed to lend a theme to it, really. And so unfortunately this bike only sort of goes out when I'm doing those pieces, which is a sin when you have a bike like this. So on a beautiful sunny day, I suppose actually what it comes down to is that I don't like getting the bike dirty. It's not that I don't like riding it, I love riding it. As I've again always harped on about, this is a bike which is simple done good. And I know a lot of my subscribers are from India, and you tuned in when I first got this bike, so apologies for not bringing you enough content on board this bike. But just so you know, folks, and all my friends in India, I absolutely love this bike, and like I say, not just to ride it, to look at it as well. In fact, I also get great satisfaction out of cleaning it, even though I might clean it in between cleans rather than rides, just to take the dust off it from the hall. It gives me great pleasure just, well, to be with it, to be honest. Doesn't matter what I'm doing with it. But I must make a proper video one day of the sound of these tech Canon slip-ons. I've always said that these slip-ons complete the bike for me. Now, look at the scenery! Good old green grass of home. Haven't seen this for a while. We've had a pretty bleak winter here in Ireland. A lot of rain, good bit of snow as well. But I've just another thing I've started on my channel, if you're new to the channel that is a series on Ireland's mountain passes, greatest mountain passes. I'm going to be bringing you one a month over the course of the summer. And my first one went out recently, and God almighty, that's one of the joys of living where I live. I travel a lot with work, but very rarely do I see scenery like I see back here at home in Ireland. And for those of you, again, who followed me for a while, it's no secret that I'm totally in love with this country. A few of you have been commenting on my accent recently as well, and so for those of you new to the channel, I am indeed a Geordie from Newcastle upon Tyne, and I met the love of my life at a BBC Christmas party, and the rest is history, so they say. She was Irish, obviously, and brought me to her country 22 years ago, and fell in love with her country as well. So there you have it. That's our little love story wrapped up in about 20 seconds. Now, you might be familiar with this road. Indeed, I used to bring my FJR up here because I used to take drone footage of the FJR on these sort of country roads up here. And that was when I was sort of getting back into the bikes 2 years ago, after a 30-year absence or whatever it was. And so I didn't really like to be around much traffic, and these roads are ideal for this. This is called Lochanlay Mountain, less than 10 minutes from where I live. I'm sort of I'm talking about all sorts of bikes here. I'm just going to stop here and show you this. I'm a bit newly fangled with my CRF 300L. And recently I took a right hand turn here. I went up onto this mountain because well, indeed you can see a runner, or maybe you can't on this camera angle, but there's a guy walking or running or something up there, and I followed that path on the CRF, got totally lost, only because I couldn't turn the CRF around to get back up, because the tyres on it, the stock tyres, are absolutely rubbish, to say the least. I'll go into that on a proper video about the CRF in the near future. But anyway, I came out this way on the CRF only after reading signs towards the end of the track saying no motorbikes or quad bikes allowed, and look what there is there. There's a sort of turnstile which doesn't allow motorbikes through or anything, so I had to take down some wire fencing literally to ride across the fields. Unfortunately I didn't have any camera equipment with me, so I couldn't even film it. You just have to take my word for it. But I had to go back. When I got home, I drove up here in a car, and I had to walk up and repair the wire fencing and let the landowner know exactly what had happened, because it did say that there was CCTV on the route as well. Okay, enough about that, and onwards. From the top of here, you can see 4 counties, I think they say, literally just around the corner here. So I'll pull in and let's have a little look at this view, which should be spectacular today, and of course it is. Yeah, absolutely. Look at that. Oh my god. It's like a postcard, isn't it? Absolutely stunning. Just make sure this verge is hard ground. Wow. You may remember one of my recent videos, I was over in the mountains there. That's Carlingford Loch over that way. And I believe you can see all the way down County Dublin, County Louth. Absolutely. County Monaghan is over that way as well. I'm going to give you a little look around the bike, just to see, so you can see, you know, the few little modifications that I've made. So I'll just park up, switch the engine off, and I'll give you some slow-mo footage set to music, just for a minute or so, but you'll be able to see the few little mods that I've made. Alright, talking a bit. So as you can see, I made a few modifications, none which I haven't already talked about on previous videos. I think I do love this little what I call makeshift cruise control. Oops, I've just switched the engine off. Makeshift cruise control. I think that's great for when you're on a longer sort of journey. Indeed, when I'm doing the sculpture videos, it's quite nice if I'm on a motorway, because you can just rest your palm on that. So that's quite handy. And that's about it really, apart from the little windscreen, the fly screen, which does a great job keeping the wind off. These what are they called, sponge puppy grips here. These are really nice, but I'm sort of going through a phase where I'm well, the more comfortable I'm getting and the more confident I'm getting on motorbikes now, I sort of like to be in touch with the road a little bit more, and I think I realised that from the CRF. So I'm going to be removing the sponge puppies actually. I remember at the time I only put them on because I could feel the road too much, but I'm actually sort of relying on that feedback, certainly in wet weather, with the stock tyres on the machines at the minute. So that's the only thing I'll be changing. But yeah, other than that, you can see just what an incredible looking machine this is. Every time I get on it, I sort of shave 40 years off, or maybe it's longer actually, come to think of it, 60 years, because it is a sort of 1960s style cafe racer, and I do feel nostalgic. I don't know, it puts me into a certain mood. It sort of puts a certain aura around the bike when I go out riding on it, especially in the countryside like this. And like I've always maintained, I've never ever ridden any other bike which gets as much attention as this. Obviously this isn't a bike I like to go fast on. I use this as a bit of a sightseeing bike, enjoying the countryside. I know again my friends in India who I was talking about joining the channel when I got this bike, I've seen fabulous photographs in India, and indeed I witnessed it for myself when I was over there a couple of years ago. I was in New Delhi. Well, actually we did the Golden Triangle. I was working on a holiday show, and so we went to the Taj Mahal, and gosh, so many names, but it was an incredible experience. But I never seen as many Royal Enfield motorbikes in all my life. In fact, in some cities, I dare say there were more Royal Enfield motorbikes than there were cars. And some fabulous photographs of like families of 4 all up on the motorbike. And of course, no spin out could be a really good TV spin out without an update where I am with the ongoing GoPro struggle. So very briefly, I'll just tell you exactly where I am with that. Obviously I'm back using them again, and it's so far so good. I've updated the very latest firmware, which hasn't crashed just yet, but what I'm also doing is powering the GoPro on my chin with a power bank. Somebody else online said this was a lot more reliable, as they thought that the stem of or the root of all of the, well, most of the problems on the GoPro 10 lay within the battery itself. And indeed, you know, the battery was getting to like 40% sometimes, which was still, in the grand scheme of things, loads of power left, and then crashing, saying that there wasn't enough or insufficient battery, insufficient power and all of that crap. So anyway, I'm using an external power bank. So far so good. I'm just using the one touch button on and off, and again, that seemed to be problematic, but it's performing well over the last few weeks, I'm glad to say. I'm also using an ND8 Polar Pro filter today because it's lovely and bright. So that's why the picture you're looking at now looks so good. As I've always said, when GoPro works, nothing else can touch them in picture quality. Now, saying that, have you seen the new Insta 360 action cam? just newly released 361 RS, I think it's called. So it's a modular system similar to its predecessor, but longer battery life. What I love as well now, when they first announced it a week or two ago, it didn't look as though it had a sound input, so to me that was the killer. It was never going to work for me, but it does indeed have a sound input. You just buy the little clip-in sound or audio input thing, 20 quid or something it is, and you can feed your microphone into the back of that. And leading on from that, some of you may have seen recently that I moved over to the Scorpion, not the Scorpion, I'm talking about a helmet there, I mean the Rode Lavalier II microphone, and I did a separate video testing that as well. Fabulous microphone, but as I've been using it in all sorts of different situations on all sorts of different bikes, it is indeed, as I reported in my review at the time, a little bit hot. And what I mean by that is it has been distorting in some situations, and a few of you are very good to point it out as well. Indeed the sound you're hearing now is from my traditional Tram mic, but when I do acquire one of the new Insta360 action cams, what it does have is audio gain built in, which is amazing. So I'll be putting the Rode Lavalier II microphone into that camera because you can dial down the gain, which is something you can't do on a GoPro, which is why it overmods with certain microphones you plug into it. So all of that info and more reviews is to come to you on this channel. Just wanted to get that out of the way. I know a lot of you ask me in the comments how you know how are you getting on with the GoPro, what's the latest. But so just to recap, the GoPro so far is behaving itself with the system I have in place with it, so that's all good news. The other things which interest me about the new Insta1 RS system is something I've always really fancied the idea of, is that you can record your 360 footage. Sorry, a few bumps there, just rattling my spine, so I'll say that again in case none of that made sense, is that you can record your 360 footage as well as your normal action cam footage on the one unit, because you can interchange the lenses. That excites me greatly. The only other modification I'd love to see on that in the future is that you can press a button and it becomes a drone. Imagine that. I'm sure we're not too far off that with the technology we have at the minute. But yes, to be able to do my vlogs all on one camera, just be an absolute godsend, rather than taking the 4 or 5 I take away with me sometimes, you know. And what have I got planned for the foreseeable? Well, more mountain passes, more sculpture videos, more bike reviews, and just more chit chat about bikes in general. Very, very much looking forward to the summer. I'm also going to be doing the Causeway Coastal Route, which is the route around Northern Ireland coastline. I have some great stories researched and ready to bring you about that. Stories I've never heard before anyway. So it's not just a sightseeing trip around the Northern Irish coastline. It's a sort of historical and fact-filled trip with some great stories lined up for that. So if you're not a member of this channel and this is your first time here, please subscribe. I really have got some super content to bring you. So on that note, folks, I'm actually doing daddy daycare today. They're all at home, so I'm going to head home and make them lunch and spend the afternoon with them. So thanks once again for tuning in. Great to have you along, and until next time, ride safe, have a great week, and sure we'll talk soon. All the best. Bye.